The silver diplomatic vessel of the United Earth Alliance drifted slowly into the designated meeting area near Valthrian space. Inside the ship, Captain Olivia Mason checked her uniform one last time before addressing her crew. Remember, the Valthrians value strength above all else. Be respectful but never show fear, she said. Sam Collins, the ship's security officer, nodded as he adjusted his standard-issue sidearm. Unlike the other humans around him, Sam was not particularly tall or muscular. He had a lean build with warm brown eyes and short-cropped hair. What set him apart was the quiet confidence in his movements and the observant way he studied everything around him. "Do they really have blue skin?" asked Penny Wright, the communications specialist. "Blue-gray," corrected Dr. Linda Warren, the xenobiologist, "and they average 7 feet tall with significantly higher muscle density than humans. Their homeworld has nearly twice Earth's gravity." The human delegation prepared for the first official meeting between their species. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 30 years ago, and many older species still viewed them with suspicion or dismissal. Across the void, aboard the Valthrian vessel Korthax, Commander Zanara inspected her honor guard. Her blue-gray skin was marked with the ceremonial scarifications that showed her rank and battle accomplishments. Standing nearly 7.5 feet tall, she towered over most of her own kind. "These humans request diplomatic relations as if they were equals," she said, her voice deep and resonant. "They have not earned such respect." Ambassador Dren, an older Valthrian with elaborate facial markings, adjusted his ceremonial armor. "The High Council believes they may have valuable resources and technologies. We will evaluate their worth." Zanara flared her nostril slits in the Valthrian expression of doubt. "I have studied their physiology, Ambassador. They are soft creatures from a low-gravity world. What could they possibly offer the Valthrian Dominion?" "That is what we are here to determine," Dren replied. "Now prepare the honor guard. The humans will arrive shortly." The meeting hall on the neutral station was designed to accommodate many species. The Valthrians arrived first, forming a perfect line with Zanara at its head. She stood motionless, her ceremonial battle staff planted firmly beside her. When the humans entered, Zanara had to control her reaction. They were even smaller than she had expected. The tallest barely reached her shoulder. Their skin was various shades of tan and brown rather than the proper blue-gray of an evolved species. They looked soft, with no protective ridges or natural armor. Captain Mason approached and performed the traditional Valthrian greeting with reasonable accuracy. "On behalf of the United Earth Alliance, we extend greetings to the Valthrian Dominion." Ambassador Dren responded with minimal courtesy. As the diplomats moved to the central table, Zanara remained standing with her guard, her eyes fixed on the human security officer, Sam Collins, who had positioned himself at a tactical vantage point. She noted with professional interest how his eyes constantly scanned the room, assessing threats and exits. Perhaps he had some rudimentary combat training. Still, his slender arms could never wield a proper battle staff. His chest lacked the expanded lung capacity of a true warrior. His legs seemed barely strong enough to support even his light frame. When Sam's gaze met hers, Zanara did not look away. She stared down at him, expecting him to avert his eyes as any lesser being should before a Valthrian commander. Instead, he held her gaze calmly, without challenge, but also without submission. This surprised her. Perhaps these humans were not completely without courage, though courage alone meant nothing without the strength to back it up. As the diplomatic discussions began, Zanara listened carefully. These humans spoke of trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense as if they could possibly offer anything of value to the Valthrians. Their presumption amused her. Before this meeting was over, she decided, these humans would learn their proper place in the galactic hierarchy. And that security officer with the steady gaze would make an excellent example for his kind. The diplomatic talks continued for 3 hours. Captain Mason presented data on Earth's resources, technological innovations, and cultural achievements. Ambassador Dren listened with minimal interest, occasionally asking questions that seemed designed to highlight human weaknesses rather than explore opportunities. Zanara remained standing with the honor guard, but her attention never left Sam. Collins. The human security officer maintained his position by the wall, alert but relaxed. His calm demeanor began to irritate her. Did he not understand he was in the presence of superior warriors? As the meeting progressed, Ambassador Dren's tone grew more dismissive. Your species has only recently achieved space travel. The Valthrian Dominion had colonized 12 planets before your ancestors discovered fire. Captain Mason kept her diplomatic smile. True, but sometimes fresh perspectives lead to innovative solutions. We believe an alliance would benefit both our peoples. Dren made the Valthrian gesture of skepticism. What could your kind possibly offer that would benefit the Dominion? Your physical capabilities are limited. The tension in the room thickened. Dr. Warren whispered something to Captain Mason, who nodded slightly. Physical strength is just one measure of capability, Ambassador, Mason replied. Humans have other attributes that have served us well. Zanara could no longer contain herself. She stepped forward, breaking protocol. The captain speaks of attributes, yet hides behind diplomacy. If humans wish to be considered equals, they should prove their worth through action, not words. Ambassador. Dren shot Zanara a warning look but did not correct her. Captain Mason's expression remained neutral. Commander, what action would you consider appropriate? Zanara's lip ridges curled into what humans might interpret as a smile. The Krathaval, the challenge of combat. It is our oldest tradition for establishing respect between warriors. The human delegation exchanged glances. Sam Collins stepped forward. I would be willing to accept such a challenge, he said. Captain Mason turned sharply. Officer Collins, that's not necessary. Zanara laughed, the sound like stones grinding together. You would face me in Krathaval, little human? I have won 63 combat challenges and killed 17 challengers. Sam's expression didn't change. Then I would be honored to be your 64th victory or your 18th kill. His voice was steady, without bravado or fear. Ambassador Dren raised his hand. This is unexpected but not unwelcome. The Krathaval would indeed establish a baseline of respect between our peoples. He turned to Captain Mason. Would you permit your warrior to engage in this ritual? Mason looked at Sam with concern. This isn't part of our diplomatic approach. With respect, Captain, Sam replied quietly. I believe it's become part of it now. After a moment of tense silence, Mason nodded. What are the terms of this challenge? Zanara stepped forward. Traditional Krathaval. Combat continues until surrender, incapacitation, or death. The participant may choose basic protective gear and one non-projectile weapon. And when would this take place? Mason asked. Immediately, Zanara replied. Unless the human requires time to find his courage. Sam met Zanara's eyes. Valthrian custom allows for 3 days of preparation before Krathaval. I claim that right. Zanara's eye ridges rose in surprise. This human knew of their customs. 3 days then, she agreed, though it will change nothing except to delay your defeat. Ambassador Dren seemed pleased with this turn of events. We shall reconvene in 3 days for the Krathaval. The outcome will guide our future diplomatic relations. As the meeting adjourned, Zanara approached Sam directly. Standing before him, she towered nearly 2 feet over his head. Up close, she could smell the strange scent of his species, like water and minerals. Why did you accept my challenge, human? You must know you cannot win. Sam looked up at her without flinching. Because sometimes the value of a challenge isn't in winning, it's in what both sides learn from it. Zanara snorted. A philosophy for those who expect defeat. Maybe, Sam replied. Or for those who understand that not everything is as it first appears. As Zanara turned to leave, she felt an unfamiliar sensation, a small seed of doubt. She dismissed it quickly. In 3 days, this presumptuous human would learn the true meaning of Valthrian strength. Back on the Earth vessel, Captain Mason was not happy. What were you thinking, Sam? Accepting a challenge from a Valthrian warrior? She paced the small meeting room where the human team had gathered. Sam sat calmly at the table. She was looking for a way to dismiss us. If I had refused, it would have confirmed everything she believes about humans. Dr. Linda Warren pulled up data on her tablet. The Valthrians evolved on a high-gravity world with intense competition for resources. Their society is built around physical prowess, which means Sam is at a severe disadvantage, Mason pointed out. Their muscle density is 3 times ours. Sam nodded. I know, but we have advantages they don't expect. Linda looked up from her. Research, huh? Actually, he might be right. Valthrians have powerful muscles and can move with incredible speed, but only in short bursts. Their metabolism burns energy quickly, like a sprinter versus a marathon runner, Sam added. Penny Wright frowned. But you're not a marathon runner, Sam. No, he admitted. But I was a wilderness guide before joining Earth Alliance. I spent 5 years leading expeditions in the Colorado mountains. I know how to pace myself. Captain Mason sat down. So what's your plan? I need to learn everything about Valthrian combat techniques, Sam replied. Linda, can you help with that? The xenobiologist nodded. Their combat records are part of the cultural exchange data. I'll compile everything. And I need to train, Sam continued, not to match their strength but to outlast it. For the next 3 days, Sam barely slept. He studied recordings of Valthrian combat, noted their traditional moves, and worked with Linda to identify weaknesses in their fighting style. In the ship's gym, he focused on endurance exercises and flexibility rather than strength training. He practiced techniques to absorb impacts and minimize damage. He worked on his breathing, his balance, his ability to take a hit and keep fighting. The night before the challenge, Captain Mason found him meditating in the observation deck. The ambassador has offered to withdraw from this challenge, she said. We could find a diplomatic excuse. Sam opened his eyes. Do you want me to back out? Mason sighed. I want you alive, Officer Collins, but I also understand why you accepted. She sat beside him. The Valthrians respect resolve even more than victory. I don't plan to lose, Sam said simply. On the Valthrian vessel, Zanara had spent little time preparing. Why would she need to? The outcome was certain. Still, she studied the human's personnel file out of professional thoroughness. Samuel Collins. Age 34. Previous occupation, wilderness guide. Military service, 4 years. Combat experience, minimal. Nothing in his record suggested he could pose any challenge to her. Yet his confidence bothered her. Was it merely human ignorance? Or did he know something she did not? Ambassador Dren entered her quarters without announcing himself, as was his right. The human delegation has confirmed the Krathval will proceed, he said. You have brought honor to our mission by establishing dominance early. Zanara bowed her head slightly. The human will be defeated quickly, then perhaps they will negotiate from an appropriate position of humility. Do not underestimate them entirely, Dren cautioned. They have survived and expanded despite their physical limitations. There must be some reason. Zanara flared her nostril slits in dismissal. Luck and technology, nothing more. Perhaps, Dren said. But remember, Commander, a warrior who assumes victory has already taken the first step toward defeat. After Dren left, Zanara went to the ship's combat arena to practice. She moved through the familiar forms of Valthrian combat with fluid grace, her powerful muscles driving her 7-foot frame through the air with precision and force. Yet as she trained, the ambassador's words echoed in her mind. She had never lost a challenge, never even come close. But tomorrow would be different, not because she might lose, but because she was facing a species she had never fought before. For the first time in many years, Zanara felt the thrill of uncertainty. Not enough to worry her, but enough to sharpen her senses and focus her mind. Tomorrow she would show everyone what happened when a human faced a true Valthrian warrior. The day of the Krathval arrived. The combat arena on the neutral station had been prepared according to Valthrian traditions. The circular space measured 50 feet across, with a hard stone floor and walls of clear reinforced material, so spectators could watch safely. Word had spread quickly about the unusual challenge. Representatives from both ships filled the viewing area. The humans looked worried. The Valthrians seemed eager for entertainment. Zanara arrived first, wearing the traditional light armor of her rank. It covered her chest and legs but left her blue-gray arms bare to show her muscle definition and battle scars. She carried her ceremonial staff, a 6-foot metal pole with weighted ends, capable of delivering crushing blows. She stood in the center of the arena, towering and confident. When Sam entered from the opposite side, her eyes narrowed. The human wore simple clothing, lightweight pants and a fitted shirt that allowed easy movement. No armor. He carried no weapon. His only protection appeared to be thin padding on his forearms and lower legs. Zanara spoke loudly enough for all to hear. "You face me without armor or weapon? Is this surrender before we begin?" Sam smiled slightly. "I'm dressed for endurance, and I've chosen my weapon." He held up his hands. "These will do." Laughter rumbled from the Valthrian spectators. "Ambassador." Dren stepped forward as ritual demanded. "This Krathval will determine the honor standing between our peoples. There are 3 outcomes: surrender, incapacitation, or death. Do both warriors accept these terms?" "I accept," Zanara declared. "I accept," Sam echoed. Dren raised his hand, then dropped it sharply. "Begin." Zanara didn't hesitate. She lunged, forward with stunning speed, her staff whirling in a complex pattern meant to overwhelm her opponent. It was a technique that had broken the guard of countless warriors. But Sam wasn't where she expected. He had sidestepped with surprising quickness, not trying to block but simply not being where her strike landed. She pivoted instantly, redirecting her attack. This time the staff grazed his shoulder as he ducked away. She pressed forward using her superior reach to force him toward the wall. Sam moved continuously, never attempting to block her powerful strikes directly. When he couldn't completely avoid a blow, he redirected its force, letting it slide past him. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Zanara had landed several hits, but none with her full power. The human was bleeding from a cut on his cheek where her staff had caught him, but he showed no signs of fatigue or fear. "You can't win by simply avoiding me," Zanara growled, spinning her staff in another attack sequence. Sam ducked under the swing. "I don't need to defeat your staff," he replied calmly. "Just you." His words confused her for a moment, long enough for him to dart inside her guard and strike 3 rapid blows to her midsection. They lacked the power to seriously hurt her, but the precision surprised her. He danced away before she could grab him. Zanara felt the first stirrings of real effort. This was taking longer than expected. The human moved with surprising efficiency, wasting no energy. His breathing remained steady. She launched a series of powerful attacks, driving him back. One solid hit caught his ribs, and she heard the impact. He winced but rolled with the force, minimizing the damage. 20 minutes into the combat, Zanara realized something unexpected. She was breathing harder than he was. "Your delaying tactics only postpone the inevitable," she said, masking her surprise with aggression. Sam nodded as he circled cautiously. "Maybe, but humans are good at doing the impossible." He darted in again, landing a quick strike to her knee, joint before retreating. It stung more than it should have. For the first time, Zanara wondered if this combat might not be the quick victory she had anticipated, and that thought bothered her more than she wanted to admit. The consortium battle group arrived at New Horizon with overwhelming force, 30 warships against the colony's meager defenses. Admiral Jax Yulon watched from the command deck of his flagship as the formation spread out to surround the planet. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Target their defense systems first." Brilliant beams of energy cut through space toward the colony. The Admiral smiled, expecting to see the human defenses crumble immediately under such firepower. His smile vanished as the beams hit an invisible barrier around the colony. "What is happening?" he demanded. His science officer studied the readings with confusion. "They appear to have some kind of energy shield. Our sensors didn't detect it until we fired." On the surface of New Horizon, Governor Frank Martinez watched the shield shimmer above the colony domes. Engineer Commander Lisa Mitchell's experimental technology had been deployed just in time. How long will it hold? Martinez asked his chief engineer. The system was only designed for testing, the engineer replied. Maybe a few hours against this level of attack. Martinez nodded grimly. That might be enough time for reinforcements to arrive. In orbit, 3 human ships, all that remained to defend New Horizon, moved into attack formation. Captain Abby Winters of the UDF Sentinel knew they were outnumbered, but her orders were clear. Buy time for the colony. Target their lead vessels, she commanded. Focus fire to maximize damage. The 3 human ships coordinated their attack with precision that surprised the consortium forces. Their beams struck the same point on one of the alien warships, causing its shields to fail. Admiral Jax Ulan watched in disbelief as one of his best ships took heavy damage from just 3 small human vessels. Impossible, he muttered. Their technology should be inferior to ours. His tactical officer reported, Sir, they're adapting their weapons to match our shield frequencies. Each shot is more effective than the last. The battle continued for hours. The consortium forces expected a quick victory but found themselves in a difficult fight. The human ships used the colony's shield as cover, darting out to attack and then retreating to safety. Captain Kevin Owens arrived with the first wave of human reinforcements, 5 more ships against the consortium's 30. Despite the odds, they immediately joined the battle. These aliens think numbers win wars, Owens told his crew. Let's show them what human ingenuity can do. He ordered his ships to break into pairs, attacking from multiple directions at once. The consortium ships struggled to track the smaller, faster human vessels. Admiral Jax Ulan grew increasingly frustrated. These humans fight like no species we've encountered. Their tactics make no sense, yet they're effective. Captain Naravex watched from her ship at the edge of the battle. The ancient texts had warned of human adaptability and unconventional thinking. Now she was seeing it firsthand. She opened a secure channel to Sam Carter's ship, which was hidden nearby. Your people fight with remarkable skill despite being outnumbered. Sam's voice was tight with tension. This is nothing. Wait until the main fleet arrives. We must reach our leaders before that happens, Naravex insisted. The Admiral believes he's winning despite the unexpected resistance. On Earth, Admiral Diane Wright received updates on the battle. New Horizons' shields are holding, but they won't last forever. How soon can our main fleet arrive? 6 hours at emergency speed, her aide replied. Wright nodded. Tell them to push the engines beyond safety limits if necessary, and contact Lieutenant Commander Carter. I want to know more about this alien captain who's willing to talk. Back at New Horizon, the battle intensified. The colony's shields began to flicker as they absorbed more and more energy from the consortium weapons. Inside his ship, Captain Owen saw a pattern in the alien attack formation. They're coordinating through their flagship. Target your sensors there. Find me a weakness. His science officer soon reported. Their communication array is exposed when they fire their main weapons. A precise hit there could disrupt their entire fleet's coordination. Owens grinned. Then that's our target. All ships, prepare to attack on my mark. As the human ships prepared their desperate gambit, Admiral Jax Ulan remained confident. The colony's shields are failing. Victory is only a matter of time. His communications officer interrupted. Sir, we're detecting unusual energy readings at the edge of the system. Many ships approaching at high speed. The Admiral dismissed this with a wave. Probably more of their small vessels. Nothing that can change the outcome. He had no idea that what was coming would prove every word of the human myths true. Admiral Jax Ulan paced the command deck of his flagship. The battle at New Horizon was taking longer than expected. The human defenders fought with surprising skill, but he remained confident in the consortium's superior numbers and technology. Their colony shields are at 30%, his tactical officer reported. They cannot hold much longer. The Admiral nodded with satisfaction. And their reinforcements? Our long-range sensors detect scattered human vessels moving toward this system. They appear to be coming from different directions. Their fleet is too dispersed to mount an effective defense. Jax Ulan smiled. As expected. Primitive species cannot coordinate complex military operations across interstellar distances. His communications officer suddenly straightened in his seat. Sir, we've intercepted transmissions between the human ships. They're calling desperately for their main fleet. The Admiral laughed. Let me hear these desperate pleas. The officer played the transmission. New Horizon to Earth Command. Colony shields failing. Request immediate assistance from the main fleet. Repeat. Request immediate assistance. Their panic gives me pleasure, Jax Yulon said to his officers. Let them call for help that cannot arrive in time. On the bridge of the UDF Sentinel, Captain Abby Winters received new orders from Earth Command. She turned to her communications officer with a smile. Send the confirmation code, she ordered. Operation Thunderclap is a go. Throughout the battle zone, the human ships suddenly broke off their attack and retreated behind New Horizon's failing shields. Admiral Jax Yulon watched with confusion. Why do they retreat when our victory is near? Scan the system again. His science officer worked the sensor controls frantically. Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings at multiple points around the system. What kind of readings? The Admiral demanded. They appear to be FTL exit points, many of them, all appearing simultaneously. Jax Yulon's 4 eyes widened. That's impossible. No fleet can coordinate simultaneous FTL jumps across different. He never finished his sentence. Space itself seemed to tear open as dozens of wormholes appeared around the consortium battle group. Through each hole emerged a human warship, their engines glowing bright against the darkness of space. Count them, the Admiral shouted. 45, no, 53 ships, his tactical officer replied, voice shaking. They've completely surrounded us. Captain Naravex watched from her position at the edge of the battle zone. The ancient texts had described human cooperation and organization as unmatched in the galaxy. Now she understood why the warnings had been preserved for so long. She opened her channel to Sam Carter again. Your fleet, it arrived together, perfectly coordinated. Sam's voice was calm. Synchronized FTL jumps are standard procedure for our Navy. Admiral Wright wouldn't launch a disorganized attack. On the bridge of the UDF Intrepid, the flagship of the human fleet, Admiral Diane Wright stood tall as her ships formed a perfect sphere around the consortium forces. Open a channel to the alien command vessel, she ordered. When the connection was established, she spoke clearly and firmly. This is Admiral Diane Wright of the United Defense Force. Your unprovoked attack on our colony ends now. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Admiral Jax Yulon stared at the human woman on his view screen. Her gray hair was cut short and her uniform was simple compared to his ornate robes. Yet her presence commanded respect. Impossible, he whispered. Your ships were scattered across your territory. That's what we wanted you to think. Right, replied. Let's be clear. We know you targeted our colony because you thought we were weak. Now you see our true strength. She leaned forward slightly. I offer you one chance to withdraw your forces and open diplomatic channels. Otherwise, we will defend ourselves with full force. Jax Yulon looked at his tactical display. The human ships had formed a perfect blockade, cutting off all escape routes. Their weapons were aimed at his vessels ready to fire. The myth of human military coordination was proving devastatingly true before his eyes. Your primitive species cannot possibly, he began. Admiral Wright cut him off. Perhaps you should check your sensors again. As if on cue, another wave of human ships appeared at the edge of the system. Those are just our first 2 battle groups, Wright said calmly. The third is standing by. Now what will it be, Admiral? Peace or war? Jax Yulon stared at the screen, finally understanding the true meaning of the ancient warnings about humanity. Admiral Jax Yulon paced the command deck of his flagship. The battle at New Horizon was taking longer than expected. The human defenders fought with surprising skill, but he remained confident in the consortium's superior numbers and technology. Their colony shields are at 30%, his tactical officer reported. They cannot hold much longer. The Admiral nodded with satisfaction. And their reinforcements? Our long-range sensors detect scattered human vessels moving toward this system. They appear to be coming from different directions. Their fleet is too dispersed to mount an effective defense. Jax Ulan smiled. As expected, primitive species cannot coordinate complex military operations across interstellar distances. His communications officer suddenly straightened in his seat. Sir, we've intercepted transmissions between the human ships. They're calling desperately for their main fleet. The Admiral laughed. Let me hear these desperate pleas. The officer played the transmission. New Horizon to Earth Command. Colony shields failing. Request immediate assistance from the main fleet. Repeat. Request immediate assistance. Their panic gives me pleasure, Jax Ulan said to his officers. Let them call for help that cannot arrive in time. On the bridge of the UDF Sentinel, Captain Abby Winters received new orders from Earth Command. She turned to her communications officer with a smile. Send the confirmation code, she ordered. Operation Thunderclap is a go. Throughout the battle zone, the human ships suddenly broke off their attack and retreated behind New Horizon's failing shields. Admiral Jax Ulan watched with confusion. Why do they retreat when our victory is near? Scan the system again. His science officer worked the sensor controls frantically. Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings at multiple points around the system. What kind of readings? The Admiral demanded. They appear to be FTL exit points, many of them. All appearing simultaneously. Jax Ulan's four eyes widened. That's impossible. No fleet can coordinate simultaneous FTL jumps across different. He never finished his sentence. Space itself seemed to tear open as dozens of wormholes appeared around the consortium battle group. Through each hole emerged a human warship, their engines glowing bright against the darkness of space. Count them, the Admiral shouted. 45. No, 53 ships. His tactical officer replied, voice shaking. They've completely surrounded us. Captain Naravex watched from her position at the edge of the battle zone. The ancient texts had described human cooperation and organization as unmatched in the galaxy. Now she understood why the warnings had been preserved for so long. She opened her channel to Sam Carter again. Your fleet, it arrived together, perfectly coordinated. Sam's voice was calm. Synchronized FTL jumps are standard procedure for our Navy. Admiral Wright wouldn't launch a disorganized attack. On the bridge of the UDF Intrepid, the flagship of the human fleet, Admiral Diane Wright stood tall as her ships formed a perfect sphere around the consortium forces. Open a channel to the alien command vessel, she ordered. When the connection was established, she spoke clearly and firmly. This is Admiral Diane Wright of the United Defense Force. Your unprovoked attack on our colony ends now. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Admiral Jax Ulan stared at the human woman on his view screen. Her gray hair was cut short, and her uniform was simple compared to his ornate robes. Yet her presence commanded respect. Impossible, he whispered. Your ships were scattered across your territory. That's what we wanted you to think. Right, replied. Let's be clear. We know you targeted our colony because you thought we were weak. Now you see our true strength. She leaned forward slightly. I offer you one chance to withdraw your forces and open diplomatic channels. Otherwise, we will defend ourselves with full force. Jax Ulan looked at his tactical display. The human ships had formed a perfect blockade, cutting off all escape routes. Their weapons were aimed at his vessels, ready to fire. The myth of human military coordination was proving devastatingly true before his eyes. Your primitive species cannot possibly, he began. Admiral Wright cut him off. Perhaps you should check your sensors again. As if on cue, another wave of human ships appeared at the edge of the system. Those are just our first two battle groups, Wright said calmly. The third is standing by. Now what will it be, Admiral? Peace or war? Jax Ulan stared at the screen, finally understanding the true meaning of the ancient warnings about humanity. 1. Week after the battle at New Horizon, representatives from humanity and the consortium gathered on a neutral space station. The large meeting room had two doors on opposite sides. Humans entered from one, consortium members from the other. Chief Diplomat Ethan Reeves led the human delegation. His tall figure moved with calm confidence as he took his seat at the round table. Captain Naravex represented the consortium, her silver-gray skin reflecting the bright lights above. Sam Carter sat between them as the official liaison. His role was to bridge the gap between two very different cultures. Admiral Jax Ulan had been relieved of command after the defeat at New Horizon. The Consortium Council could not ignore how badly he had underestimated the humans. In his place, a more moderate leader named Vrelzon had been appointed to oversee relations with humanity. "We are here to establish peace between our peoples," Ethan began, his voice steady and clear. "What happened at New Horizon was a tragic misunderstanding that need not be repeated." Naravex nodded. "The consortium acknowledges its error. We failed to heed our own historical records about your species." She placed an ancient data crystal on the table. "These texts speak of human capabilities that we dismissed as myths. We now understand they were accurate observations from previous encounters." Sam looked at the crystal with interest. "When were these records made?" "Over 3,000 years ago," Naravex replied. "A consortium exploration vessel encountered a human outpost near what you call Alpha Centauri. They were impressed by your ancestors' adaptability and determination, even with primitive technology." Ethan leaned forward. "And yet your leadership chose to ignore these warnings." "Pride," Naravex admitted. "We believed our technological advancement made us superior." The peace talks continued for days. Both sides shared information about their cultures, histories, and territories. Slowly, trust began to build. Dr. Zixtral, the xenoanthropologist who had first presented the human myths to the Consortium Council, was brought in to help draft the treaty. His expertise in understanding different species proved valuable. "The humans possess qualities we should respect, not fear," he told the consortium representatives. "Their adaptability allows them to find solutions where we see only problems." Admiral Diane Wright arrived on the final day of negotiations. Her presence commanded attention from both sides. She had proven herself a formidable military leader, yet now she came in peace. "The treaty must acknowledge our right to defend our colonies," she insisted. "But we have no desire for conquest or expansion into consortium territory." Vrelzon, who had joined the talks via holographic projection, agreed. "We seek the same assurance from humanity. Our peoples can coexist without conflict if we respect each other's boundaries." As the final treaty took shape, Sam Carter found himself talking privately with Naravex in the station's observation lounge. They looked out at the stars together. "Your people fought with remarkable skill," she said. "But what impressed me most was how quickly you shifted to peace when the opportunity arose." Sam smiled. "That's another human trait the myths probably mentioned. We fight hard when necessary, but we prefer building to destroying." Naravex turned to face him. "The consortium has encountered many species in its long history, none quite like humans." "Is that good or bad?" Sam asked. "Different," she replied. "And difference is what makes the universe interesting." The treaty was signed the next day. It established clear boundaries between human and consortium space, with provisions for trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense against common threats. Perhaps most importantly, a joint military training program was created under the leadership of Admiral Wright and Captain Naravex. Human adaptability would be paired with consortium technology, creating a powerful alliance. As the delegates prepared to return to their respective worlds, Dr. Zixtral approached Sam Carter with a request. "I wish to document human capabilities accurately for future generations," the xenoanthropologist explained. "To replace myths with truth." Sam nodded. "I think we can arrange that." In the months that followed, scientists and diplomats traveled between human colonies and consortium worlds. The initial fear and distrust gradually transformed into cautious respect. On the anniversary of the battle at New Horizon, a memorial was unveiled. It bore inscriptions in both human and consortium languages. The message was simple. From misunderstanding comes wisdom. From conflict comes peace. Sam Carter and Narevek stood side by side at the ceremony, living proof that different species could find common ground. Do you think it will last? Sam asked quietly. Narevek considered the question. The myths about humans mentioned one more quality: loyalty to allies. I believe in that myth most of all. As they looked up at the stars together, both knew that what had begun in conflict had created something neither civilization could have achieved alone.